Hello everyone, Crypto Walker here, and today I wanted to do a quick Bitcoin update. Had a massive retrace pullback bear trend that we could still be in, but I just wanted to start with a naked chart and show you guys what I see. Okay, we have this beautiful trend line here that Bitcoin just stuck to, kicked butt, and this growth channel that it stayed in for months and months and months, okay, before it ever broke out of that channel. Actually, I'm going to draw it from to right here. We're going to change it a little bit. And then it kept hitting resistance, trying to break out of this trend line channel, this upper trend line, bounce back down, hit resistance here, bounce down, hit resistance here, bounce down to the bottom trend line, came back up, hit resistance, hit resistance, hit resistance, broke through, fell back down into the channel, hit resistance at the bottom channel, and then finally broke out of this almost a year-long channel, okay? And what happened when it broke out was it just went parabolic, went up to 19.8. As you guys can see here, I'm gonna fix this a little bit. People might draw it a little bit differently, but that's what it looks like to me. And what we're seeing here is the throwback to the bear trend. Now, we finally had some good news. Korea, India, all these countries are not banning Bitcoin, surprise, surprise. But what it has done is it has caused a massive panic in the markets. And the coin market cap at the height of Bitcoin's parabolic run was 852 billion. And as of this morning, about midnight, 1 a.m., when I was still up watching the charts and watching Bitcoin tank, wondering where the bottom was, it had dropped down to all the way down to 280 billion. Okay, so just in the last day, it's recovered almost $100 billion, put back into the market. And that is why we see this upswing with Bitcoin, is that buyers stepped in when it hit that $5,800, $5,900, $6,000 zone. Buyers stepped in, and they're still stepping in now. Okay, but I want to show you guys what I see for the long-term trend now. And I'm not saying we're out of the bear market, okay? The reality is we could have a nice bounce up to the $9,000 to $10,000 range, and everybody could think, oh, hallelujah, we're out, we're in the clear. And then something happens with the markets, some news, some other country comes along, and we get that curveball, that unforeseen curveball that sends us plummeting down to the $4,000 range, okay? But right now, it looks like things are moving forward nicely. So if we draw this trend line here, we can see that this completes the third point, making this a confirmed trend line, okay? Without 3 points of contact, it's not a confirmed trend line. So up until just this morning, we only had 2 points of contact on this trend line. But I was always looking at this trend line, okay, worst case scenario in my mind was that it hit around 5,800 and completed this trend line, and that became the floor for the next rally, okay? Now, what we might see is some sideways continuation, consolidation action in the $6,000 to $9,000 range for a couple of weeks before it starts shooting up. I don't know how the markets are gonna go, but this is what we're looking at today. Another area I wanna show you guys, just so you kind of get the eye for support and resistance, is, let me zoom in here so you guys can see it clearly, is we're looking at the chart for places where prior resistance became support or prior support became resistance. And as you guys can see right now, the reason why we're having this pullback, this little bit of a pullback right now for after we hit about 7,900, is because there's a lot of resistance in this zone, okay? And if you guys are seeing this, we're literally right on that area right now. Now, I think we will push through to the next level of resistance, which I see being around 8,900 to 9,300. But here's what I'm seeing. See how it came up here and reached the all-time high of about 7,500, and then it pulled back and bounced again. Here, let me zoom in even more so you guys can really see this very clearly, okay? Whoa, sorry. Let's go back here. Come on. Sorry. Get this so you guys can see it. Okay, So we had this, you know, the Bitcoin's rising, 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 just slow and steady rise on the 4-hour, okay? And it came up and it hit the $7,500 area and it bounced down, and then it hit it again and it bounced down, it hit it again and it bounced down. It's like the ceiling. It just kept hitting and hitting and hitting, trying to break through. And then it had a retrace. This was a news event. It caused it to drop down to 5,400 area, which if you look at that 5,400 area, that was where prior resistance was, which became support. See over here, it tried to bounce through, bounce through, bounce through, bounced through, came back down, bounced through, came back down, and then finally broke through and created and broke through that resistance. And then here it confirms that it is now support at the $5,500 area. And then it bounces up and bam, it breaks through that $7,500 zone and kind of consolidates there for a little bit and tries to, okay, is this really gonna be the floor and stabilize? And once it did become the floor, then boom, we just had this massive breakout, okay? And now we've experienced this pullback, and guess what's causing resistance at this point? Don't be surprised, because it was causing massive resistance before, right? For days. Let's see, for a week there, and then the resistance, and it kind of took a couple days to decide, okay, yeah, we're going for it. So this could cause some resistance here for another day, another couple hours, 4 hours, or tomorrow we could see a breakthrough. And I'm looking for my target. And again, when I'm looking for a target, you know, we'll determine by the candlesticks and the volume and everything, the momentum, if I'm going to cut out of my day trade in Bitcoin. Now, I always have long-term holdings that I never buy or sell with, right, in my portfolio. But when you see a nice bounce like this, it's always fun to get in on the action and ride the wave up on a trade. And today you could have done that with any coin on the market and gained a quick at least 10, if not 25 to 30%, okay? Any coin, because of the massive, massive bloodbath that we saw yesterday. So I was looking at this 5,800 going, that could be a good spot for a buy, 5,800 to 6,000, because of this prior resistance here, okay? And because of this area right here becoming support, I figured, okay, that might be a good next target to look at once it broke down past the $8,000 range. Now I'm looking at this is now causing resistance. If it breaks through this resistance, it did already once, now it's testing it again. If it breaks through, I'm looking at the $8,800 to $9,300 range, okay? Why am I looking at that? Because it became support here. It became support here. And now it's become resistance right here. See where it tried to pop up? Let me erase my box here so you guys can see. So over here, 8,800 became support, right? It became the floor and it bounced off that, okay? So it rose up, fell back down, 8,800 became support, and it just catapulted off of it. Here, it broke down to the $9,000 range. That's why I'm talking about a range. I don't know exactly where it's going to go dollar by the dollar, but I can figure out a range from 8,800 to 9,300. Okay, so here it dropped all the way down and became support again. And then here it became resistance. It dropped down, bounced back up, but it couldn't break through, and it became resistance. So it became the ceiling, right? Over here it became the floor to bounce off of. Here it became the ceiling to bounce down from. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So this became resistance. So I'm looking at this area for the bounce. I think we'll hit that $9,500 area, $93 to $9,500 area. Another reason why I'm looking at that is because if we draw this descending trend line, okay, we're looking for that third point of contact, which would be right around the $9,300, $9,400 area, okay? So that's why I'm looking at this as the target. Now, if it breaks out of that, we're most likely headed to, I believe it's about the $11,000 or $12,000 zone to make a third point of contact on this trend line. So if we break through the $9,300, $9,400 zone, then there's definitely resistance right here around the 11.6. We could, slowly sideways get to 11.6 here, and then we'll see what happens with the markets, okay? Because it could bounce. This could be truly become resistance and it could break down, or it could become support and it could break out. All right. But initially, over the next couple days, I'm looking at the $8,800 to $9,300 area for this bounce from today. All right, guys. So I hope that helps you. Just looking for support and resistance, just to help you guys get used to support and resistance, okay? So resistance is an area where it bounces up to and then breaks down from. Support is an area where it breaks down to, goes down to, and bounces off to go up, okay? So you hit resistance, it broke down. Here, hit resistance, it broke down. Here, it went through, broke through that resistance, went all the way up, came back down to prior resistance, which then became support. It bounced off, bounced down, came support again, kind of like a trampoline, bounced up, bounced down, became support again, bounced up like you're jumping off of a trampoline, came down, broke through it to the next level where there was some support, which was in this zone right here. So we see prior support here, bounced up, right here, prior support, bounces up, comes back down, and now we're looking for this zone again and to see, is it going to become resistance or support? And it could do both, right? The likelihood of that is it could bounce up to here and then come back down and retest this zone, 7,500 again, before it bounces back through and bounces out of this to test this zone, okay? And that would not surprise me a bit. That would be a very healthy pullback here to bounce up to the 11.5 range, okay? All right, guys, that is my quick, simple update for Bitcoin. Buyers are stepping in. We had some good news with the CFTC meeting, the SEC meeting today on US regulations. I listened to it live. If you haven't listened to it live, I shared it in the Facebook group. Highly recommend you go listen to it. I was surprisingly elated with the meeting. I was fully expecting them to diss on crypto and expecting more fear, uncertainty, and doubt to spread through the markets like the China, India, South Korea FUD that we experienced over the last few weeks, but we didn't get it. The US, I'm surprised that they seemed pretty darn bullish on this paradigm shift that we're witnessing. As I was talking, you guys just saw me draw another support line. So we had this support line that I was looking at as a possible, bottom for Bitcoin at the 9,300 area because of this prior support here, and also because it would have made the third point of contact, 1 point here, 1 point here, and the third point of contact here. When we broke down out of it, this is very important. Markets often retest prior support again, and they will bounce up to test it. And when you get confirmation that it's not going to break through, then you know you're going down more, okay? So what happened is, if you guys look at this, we have this trend line. If you connect this point to this point and just keep drawing it out, we don't have this point yet, but if we just keep drawing it out, what I was looking at in the market was we had this nice, I guess, could have been, it was a bear flag really, right here, what I'm looking at right here. We had this, and then it had this nice line, and I guess it could be a bear pennant. But anyway, it had this nice line, and I was looking at this area going, okay, if it's going to hold up, we're shooting out of it. If it doesn't hold up and it breaks down, 9,300 was my next target because it would have created the third point. Sorry, let me get rid of this line here. The third connection point on this trend line to confirm if this was or if it wasn't an actual trend line, okay? And what it did was it broke down and then it bounced back up to retest that trend line, which then became support. Became resistance, sorry. So you had this zone here that was support here that then became resistance and also retested this ascending trend line. All right, so these are just patterns I'm just explaining to you guys, help you see what I see so that you can get used to what to look for. But when that came up and bounced off, that bounced down from that trend line, broke down from it, it was confirmation to me that we were going further. And we sure did. We went from 93 to 58. That was a big drop. That would have been an awesome short if I was shorting on BitMEX at that time, but I wasn't. But I am leveraged using margin on Bitcoin right now on a nice gain from this bounce. So we'll be teaching that. Margin trading is something that I don't recommend for new traders because it's highly, highly, highly risky, and you can get wrecked, liquidated very, very easily if you don't know what you're doing. So anyway, have an awesome day. Go look for some good buy zones. Fully expect or look for, if this doesn't break out, it's going to break back down and test this trend line. If it breaks above this trend line, more than likely it's going to go to this resistance zone and then could break down again. So, you know, we're kind of mid-range right now if you want to take a trade or buy anything as far as Bitcoin goes. But just keep watching the market and look for entries. Many coins had 80% pullbacks over the last 2 months. So you're definitely in a good buy zone on a lot of the web bot coins that we recommend. Pillar is on a rampage today. I know Ethos, Bitcoin's had a huge retrace, great time to buy many of them. Komodo held up fantastically over this last drop. Again, nice time to buy. So you guys go look for a few coins that you've been researching and share some charts in the Facebook group. We're happy to help and look at what you've got to see what we think about it.